Hey friends, welcome back to another children's sermon video. For those of you who are new here, my name is Becca, and for those of you who are coming back, it is good to be with you again. I'm just so glad that we are here. So we're going to play my favorite game. Okay, are you ready? I have a couple of things and I need your help. What do these things have in common? Are you ready? This is a straw. Ready? It's even a bendy straw. Love a bendy straw. And then I have, this is my favorite thing, a pipe cleaner. That's right. And I have a pom-pom ball. I have, this is my favorite. It's a heart-shaped button. That is right. And I have this. Some of you may use these at home. And then the last thing I have is a plate. What do these things have in common? They're all white. That is right. Wow, you guys know so many things. So let's test your knowledge. Do you remember what white has to do with? What season of the church year is white? Maybe that's a good hint. Yes, Epiphany. That is kind of a hard word. It is spelled Epiphany. Epiphany. That's right. And so we are in the season of Epiphany. So when you look around your church, maybe you'll see lots of white. Your pastor might be wearing a stole that's white. Your deacon could wear a white stole. You could see white paraments on the altar. That's right. So where the stories are read from, there's white cloth hanging from them. The altar has white cloth hanging on it. Yep. Maybe your church does white flowers for Epiphany. Maybe your church has special white candles they use. That's right, it's Epiphany. And today's story, I'm going to set it up like a puzzle. I'm going to show you 3 things, and I want you to try to guess what the story is based off the 3 things I show you. And this will be the first Sunday in Epiphany. Okay, you ready for the 3 things? Here's the first. It's a cross. Can you see it? And then there's this. Got to use your imagination with this guy a little bit. Okay, that was a hint. And then here's the last thing. It's a mister. What could this story possibly be with a mister and a cross and this guy? These 3 things represent the characters in this story. So this cross represents Jesus. So Jesus is in the story. This represents John the Baptist. And this represents God. Now, I told you you're going to have to use your imagination. This is my version of a makeshift bird. So a white bird, you know how they fly? This is the bird's wings. Yeah. And so it is the story of Jesus's baptism. Is that what you guessed? Wow, you guys are so smart. You know so many things. So this story is about John the Baptist baptizing Jesus. And so the 3 characters in this story that we see are God, Jesus, and John the Baptist. So we are going to read the story. And when you look at the pictures, I want you to look real hard to see the dove or what represents God in the pictures. Are you ready? Okay, so this comes from Luke chapter 3. Do you know where Luke is in the Bible? That is right. It's a gospel in the New Testament. Wow, you guys, you really studied up over Christmas, didn't you? I thought so. Okay, here's our story. Get ready, John the Baptist called out. The Messiah is coming. An old man sat on the bank of the Jordan River. "We've been waiting a long time for the Messiah," he grumbled. A little girl ran up to John. "Maybe you are the Messiah." "Not me," said John. "Look!" He pointed to the man walking towards them. "I baptize you with the water, but he will baptize you with God's Spirit." The crowd wondered, could this be the Messiah? The man approaching the crowd, it was Jesus. How long had they been waiting for the Messiah? Maybe a couple of hours, Otto asks. More like years and years, Otto. Ava corrects him. Jesus waded into the river. John baptized Jesus by dunking him in the water. When Jesus came out of the water, heaven opened and the crowd heard a voice. They looked around. Where did it come from? The voice came from nowhere and everywhere, all at once. It sounded different to each person. God's voice? The little girl whispered. "You are my son," said the voice. "You are the beloved. With you I am well pleased." The old man pointed. Something flew down from the sky. It looked like a dove. It was God's own Spirit. The crowd gasped. This was the one they had been waiting for. Jesus was the Messiah. God's own voice said so. God's Spirit was upon him. God's voice told everyone Jesus was the Messiah. God's Spirit came down to Jesus, Ava exclaimed. And Otto says that's like God's double seal of approval. Yes, what a great story. So, did you see the dove? Did you see the white dove? That white dove doesn't look like my white dove. That white dove looks a little different. This white dove kind of reminds me of, anybody ever watch VeggieTales? There was a movie, I think, about VeggieTales where they had angry eyebrows, and these kind of look like angry eyebrows to me, but it's supposed to be a dove. And it reminds us of Jesus's baptism. That is right. And so that's pretty cool. When you think about baptism, what do you think of? I think of the font that we have in our sanctuary right at the front in the middle. And I think of babies squirming or playing in the water. I think of Pastor Micah telling the story of all the water that is before the water that is in the baptismal font. And of course, I think of water. And when I think of water, I think of playing in water. Do you think of like a bath or a pool or the ocean? I think of all the water I've ever played in. That's right. But water can be kind of scary too. But this water that Jesus experiences, that we experience in baptism, is not a scary water. It is a grace-filled water. That's right. So, do you think Jesus' baptism was different than the baptisms we see sometimes? That is right. It is different. So Jesus was dunked in the Jordan River. Have you ever been in water that comes up to your waist and you kind of have to wade and the water can move you around? Yeah, so that's the kind of water he's in, and John the Baptist dunks him in the water and brings him up. We aren't baptized like that. We have a little sprinkle, right? Pastor Micah takes the shell and he fills the shell up with water and then he dumps it on the baby's head or the kid's head or the adult's head. Yeah, it's not the same. Do you think it means different things because it looks different? No. God loves us in baptism. And we are experiencing God's love and grace in baptism. God's love is poured on us, right? Pour, like we pour the water, or you are covered in water. That's right. And so that it is the same. God's love is the same, whether we are dunked or whether we are sprinkled. And so today we're going to remember our baptism. So today or sometime, I want you and your family to either go into the bathroom and get water on your hands and make a cross on each other's forehead. Or you can go pause the video right now. You can run and go get a bowl of water and you can come back. But when you put the water on their heads and you make the cross, I want you to tell the person, you are a loved child of God. So does that kind of remind you about the blessing that God spoke to Jesus? That's right. Like, you are my son, the beloved, I am well pleased. That is we are giving an affirmation in baptism too. And so because we are named and claimed by God in baptism, that is what we're going to remember today, our baptisms. You can remember your baptism as often as you want. And even when you wash your hands or take a bath or play in the bath or play in the pool, you can remember the water all around you is a reminder of God's grace and forgiveness for us, and that God loves us very, very much. All right, friends, that's our story for today. I can't wait to hear about your remembrances of baptism. And if you want to read this story, it comes from Luke chapter 3, verses 15 through 17 and 21 through 22. All right, that's our story for this week. Till next time, friends. See ya.